ready to get off your chest. Yeah. That's why
I had built up for 4 years.
Okay.
So almost 4 years. No, 3.5 years because we was cool for the first year and a half. But yeah.
Take that hard drive. You said yes.
100%.
Break this
1,000%.
shit down.
She took the hard drive, and I'm gonna tell you when she took it and how she took it. The second day after Vaughn, Vaughn died. And then the second day we flew out there. She said she wasn't talking about her and this and that. So, but you know, people be lying though. So,
so basically, it came from the sneak diss and tweets, and you, the whole family really felt
sneak diss and tweets, but it'd be like tweets that.
And just like that, everything changed. The internet didn't break. This time, it exploded. King Von's own blood, his cousin Baylo, finally came forward, and baby, this wasn't some clout-chasing rant or internet rumor. No, this was a bombshell years in the making. Baylo didn't hold back. He confirmed what fans have whispered about since the night Von died. That hospital, that scene, it wasn't just a tragedy, it was a setup. Baylo straight up said it. Von was still alive when he got to the hospital. Let that sink in. We've been told for years that he died on the scene. But now we know Von was breathing, thinking, fighting when they wheeled him in. And the reason his heart stopped beating, it wasn't just the bullets. It was what he saw in that hospital. Baylo swears Von spotted the man who shot him standing right there. In the same hospital, breathing the same air. Baylo swears Von spotted the man who shot him standing right there. In the same hospital, breathing the same air. So imagine that, waking up post-surgery and locking eyes with your shooter. Von jumped out of bed, y'all. He asked for his gun. He was ready to go to war again. KCTV footage allegedly shows Von on his feet, desperate, searching, nurses panicking, no one helping. The hospital turned into chaos, and Von, he didn't die from the wounds. Baylo says he died from shock. His body gave out when his heart realized what his mind was seeing, and it doesn't stop there. Baylo dropped another stunner. Kayla B., Von's own sister, knew everything. According to him, she called him up and laid it all out. Von had 3 surgeries scheduled. 2 were successful. He was supposed to live. But then, after waking up and asking for his blick, he flatlined. So how did Kayla know the details of his surgeries if she wasn't even there? Exactly, she told fans 2 different stories. First, she wasn't at the hospital, then she was, and fans clocked it. People remembered she was at the club that night, the same club where Von's album party was poppin'. She left early, but never showed up at the hospital, even after hearing her brother had been shot. That detail didn't sit right, not then, and especially not now.
You found out Von was dead. Let's start there, because that's...
So I'm the one called her and told her.
So Kayla B, so you telling me Kayla B wasn't there?
Let me tell you.
Was Kayla B there or not?
And here's where it gets straight up eerie, because right after Von died, Kayla pulled up in a brand new Range Rover, clean, fresh off the lot. And she didn't even try to hide it. She flaunted it like nothing had happened, claimed 21 Savage bought it for her. Girl, what? Why would 21 drop a car on her like that just days after her brother's death? She claimed she was dating his little brother, but the internet wasn't buying it. The timing, way too convenient.
21 Savage, he bought you a Range Rover?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that random? You knew that was coming, or?
No, I didn't know it was coming. They say Von was sneaking up to Range Rover every day because he was about to buy me a Range Rover for my birthday. And I guess he had heard Von, was going to do that, so he had bought me a Range Rover.
Then 21 tried to clear the air, saying he was with Lil Durk in Houston when Von got shot. Said they were at a bowling alley and got the call minutes later. But fans pulled receipts. Durk was on Instagram Live in a car when the news broke. So that whole bowling alley story, busted. People called cap on the whole thing, saying 21 and Durk might know way more than they've admitted. Now hold on, here's the part that sent shockwaves through the streets. Remember, Von and Durk were co-defendants in a shooting case in Atlanta, the kind of case where people don't just walk away free. And yet, the second Von died, the charges disappeared. Poof, like magic. Witnesses had said Durk fired a weapon, there was footage, his arm literally hanging out of a car window firing, but somehow with Von gone, the case just died. Even Charleston White, controversial as he is, said what many were thinking, that Von was set up. And Durk, he benefited big time.
Lil Durk and Lil Baby, they unfollowed Gunna.
Lil Durk told on King Von. That's how he beat his charges. Lil Durk told on King Von. That's how he got his charges beat.
Probable cause for possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, participation in a criminal street gang activity, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and criminal attempt to commit.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more twisted, Baylo says Kayla B went straight to Von's house after he died. Didn't even let the dust settle. She cleared out his closet, took his shoes, his jewelry, his clothes, anything worth something, and people noticed. This wasn't mourning. This was looting.
She took some, I think like 2 pair of mirrors, a jacket, and some like a shirt or something. And she took the Louis suitcase. So I ain't say, I literally watched her take it. I wasn't thinking none of it. Like, he got a lot of telling her, like, go under this cabinet for the hard drive. The hard drive's under this cabinet, this and that. I'm still not thinking none of it because I took that and stuffed it in his suitcase.
Baylo describes it like it still haunts him. She wasn't crying. She wasn't breaking down. She was focused, like she came with a mission. He even helped her get a hard drive from under a cabinet without realizing what was going on. Said he stuffed it into Von's suitcase. But looking back, that moment felt wrong. And rumors, oh, they've been swirling for years. That Kayla and Von's bond wasn't just sibling love. That maybe, just maybe, something darker was under the surface.
We was just real close. I used to be stealing from my brother, like all type of shit. I used to be at all his court dates. Like, my other brothers and sisters, they weren't really doing that shit for real.
And then DA Fonnie Willis stepped in with a statement that made jaws drop. If Von was still alive, he would have been indicted in that case. Think about that. It means the whole legal weight fell on Von only because he died. And that smells like convenience. The streets are talking. And what they're saying, it ain't pretty. Baylo's revelations are shaking the whole narrative. Suddenly, people are rewatching everything. Kayla's Range Rover, Dirk's case vanishing, 21's lies, the hospital chaos. It's all starting to look like one big cover-up. But let's take it all the way back to the root. But to really get to the bottom of this, we gotta rewind to when things really started spiraling out of control. At first, it just looked like messy rap drama. You know, the usual disses, tweets, baby mamas. Everyone swore the beef started over Janya, NBA Youngboy's baby mama. The blogs were eating it up. People said Von messed with her just to get under Youngboy's skin. But here's the twist, Von and Janya weren't even really together. Neither were Janya and Youngboy at that point. So what was really going on? Some said it was clout chasing, others thought it was personal. Whatever it was, Von wasn't playing games. He started calling Youngboy out on IG Live, said he was lying in his songs, called him fake, cap in his rap. Youngboy stayed silent at first, but Von, he wasn't letting up.
That's cap. You got cap in your raps.
Bro, street boss, don't hit the white lady.
You got cap in your raps.
He started dragging Youngboy's baby mama even harder. Then Jania pops up at the studio with Von. Rumors fly, they smash, the blogs went into overdrive, and just when things couldn't get messier, Youngboy brings Asian Doll, Von's ex, into the fold, has her pull up to his house, they record a song, everyone starts whispering that he slept with her too. The disrespect was loud. This wasn't rap beef anymore, this was warfare. Petty, messy, calculated, baby mama vs baby mama, ex vs ex, tweets flying, shade everywhere. And then Von tweets, y'all wouldn't believe the female I just made a hit with. Not long after, boom, pic surface of him and Janya. Internet melted. Janya tried to play it down, said it was nothing. But Asian Doll wasn't having it. She hit live and confirmed it. Said Von did sleep with Janya. Said she saw the DMs. Even said the whole they made a song story was a straight up lie, just smoke.
People say, you know, Asian Doll was at Youngboy's crib. Do you feel like that was the beginning of the shit that, you know, we see today?
Yeah, it's probably true because knowing her.
Youngboy was done. So what does he do? He claps back with one of the pettiest, darkest moves in rap history. Posts a pic with the caption, I'm going to make sure my son F your daughter. Y'all, Von had a daughter. That wasn't a sub, that was a direct nuke. Now Youngboy and Asian Doll are teaming up, Von spiraling, and at this point, everyone knew this wasn't gonna stay online. It was only a matter of time before it spilled into real life. That moment came on November 6, 2020. Von had just dropped his debut album, Welcome to O'Block. He was celebrating with his people, left Opium nightclub in Atlanta, then headed to Monaco Hookah Lounge. And guess who was lurking nearby? Quando Rondo. Lil Tim. They were outside in their car, just posted. Von got word. He didn't hesitate. He hopped out, stormed straight toward Quando. No words, no talking, just hands. His crew backed him up. Quando gets dropped. It was on sight. And then Lil Tim jumped out and started shooting. Von got hit, torso. Off-duty cops nearby heard the chaos and fired too. Tim got hit. It was pandemonium. Von's team grabbed him and sped to the hospital. Quando and Tim dipped too. Von didn't make it. But how he didn't make it is what's haunting. He was taken to the hospital, went through surgery, and according to Bo, he was alive afterward. Not just barely breathing, conscious, looking around, asking for his weapon. So the question is, what really killed him? And here's what's even more disturbing. That night, Von wasn't even in his usual bulletproof truck. The one he always rode in, gone. Instead, they had him in a regular vehicle. Why? Bo said it himself. If Von didn't get out and fight, the plan was to shoot up the car. Either way, somebody wanted him gone. Bulletproof truck gone. Driver replaced with some random African dude. You tell me if that sounds normal. Even Von's manager Track claimed in interviews that Von was in the bulletproof truck. But Bo and others close to Von say that's a lie. So who's covering for who?
And when we left, I jumped in the same car, but he jumped with the security in a bulletproof truck. So when I came to the car, we've been waiting outside for like almost 40 minutes. It was freezing, like, bro, ridiculously cold.
Oh, and get this. Quando and Lil Tim were already at Opium earlier that night. Same club Von had just performed at. DJU, Von's own DJ, confirmed it. So now fans are wondering, was this all one big coincidence, or were they following Von, watching his every move? Yes, Quando and Tim pulled the trigger. But when you zoom out, it starts looking like they were just part of something bigger.
Well, you pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
After the 4th shot?
Probably like the 3rd shot.
This wasn't some street fight gone wrong. This was surgical, precise, like someone mapped it out. Why wasn't Von's team stopping him from rushing at Quando? Why was his ride switched that night? Why were his enemies showing up at all the same spots? The whole day? This setup didn't start in that parking lot. It started long before, on IG Live, in Twitter beefs, in distractions. It was a slow build. Keep Von chasing ghosts while the real threat hid in plain sight. And let's be real, Von wasn't just another rapper. He was a threat to the industry. He had street cred, a growing fan base, and major influence. And some people, they wanted him gone. So yeah, Little Tim fired the shot, but who pulled the strings? And just when fans thought they'd heard it all, Baylo flipped the whole narrative on its head. He said what everyone was too scared to say. Von didn't die alone. He was failed by the industry, by his inner circle, by the people he thought he could trust. Baylo's words hit like a hammer. He painted a picture of betrayal. The hospital, the team, even the streets. They all played a role. Now that the truth is leaking out, ain't no going back. And here's one more twist for y'all to chew on. What if Kayla B wasn't just shady, but actually a pawn in a bigger game? Think about it. The industry knew Von was rising fast. Fans adored him. What better way to trap him than through someone he trusted most? Some folks are saying Kayla might have helped lure him to that club, baited him without even knowing the full scope, used like a piece on the chessboard. And one last thing you can't ignore, Von and Quando. They weren't always enemies. There was a time when they were actually cool. So what turned it so ugly so quick?
You walked up to King Von to dap him up. Can you take us through that night?
I don't even remember that night.
Who was working behind the scenes? Who fanned the flames? Because at this point, it's giving setup, it's giving industry hit, it's giving betrayal from the inside. So we have to ask, was King Von set up by the very people he loved? Was the industry in on the plot? And did Baylo just risk it all by blowing the lid off a cover-up they tried so hard to bury? Let's talk about it. The comments are open, and if you've made it this far, you already know this story is far from over. Story is far from over.